This whole fake Grand Order situation has been blown so drastically out of proportion and has just spiraled into this abyss of misinformation and doom posting. And it all stems from this. Grand Order, goodbye. Fake Grand Order Cosmos and the Lost Belt story finally ends today after 8 years. Now, do note here that this is a story, a section of the story. These are some of the sentiments, the threads that are popping up on Reddit, on Facebook, on Twitter. The end of the Japanese gacha, now what? In the same week, we've gotten pretty clear signs that both Fire Emblem Heroes and Fate Grand Order will be shutting their doors soon. Fate Grand Order shutting their doors because they have approached the end of a chapter for them. This game right here that regularly makes 15 to 30 million dollars a month. That is arguably the most popular, the most successful Japanese gacha game based on an anime of all time. This is the game that they are looking at and thinking to themselves, yeah, this is dead. This is going to end of service. They're totally going to let this game go. Even if the story goes to shit, at the end of the day, there is no way this developer or this publisher is going to let a cash cow as large as Fate Grand Order go. Now, that isn't to say that the story is going to go downhill from here. I'm sure they have a lot of different options in terms of where they want to take the story. But threads like this that are being opened where they go on to claim Fate Grand Order is shutting their doors. On top of the countless Japanese gachas that have already shut down in 2025 alone, companies like Konami that were ready to chase a gacha unicorn have backed out and shifted back to AAA games as they cannot compete with China's cheap labor, cited by the former Sony CEO Katsuhiro as the leading reason for the JP gacha decline. I mean, yo, look at it this. I don't see a decline. I see good months. I see normal months. I see great months. Nowhere here do I see a bad month. $13 million as the lowest earning month of the entire year. I'm sorry, that most gacha games would kill for revenue like that. Even the dollar dime cheap horny cash grabs cannot keep up with what South Korea is putting out. So now many Japanese studios have a choice: back out of the gacha race entirely or continue on with their slow, sputtering death. Do we think there's any chance Japanese gacha makes it to 2030, or will it end on a mark of incompetence? I don't know what this dude's spoken, dude, but yeah, Chinese gacha games are vastly superior to Japanese gacha games now. They're also superior to Korean gacha games now, but in no way is Fate Grand Order doing poorly. Uma Musume is another gacha game out of Japan, and look at that. Wow, in the last year, the lowest revenue was $7 million. On average, ever since it launched globally, the game has been making 16 to $35 million. Those are two Japanese gacha games. I mean, sure, Fire Emblem Heroes made an announcement the other day that was a little bit concerning. Not necessarily that the game was going to be approaching an end of service or shutting down in any capacity, but even if you want to misconstrue it that way, I mean, come on. OP, my sources that I made it the fuck up. Fate Grand Order is still doing pretty well in terms of revenue. Surely they're not planning to end of service anytime soon. And then in this tweet, apparently they have announced live events for January all the way through March. Fate Grand Order Chaldea Satellite Station 2026 has been announced. The main visual is illustrated by Kanose. Live events will be held at the following: Fukui in January on January 17, 2026, Nagasaki on February 8, 2026, Yamagata on March 7, 2026. So they already have an entire thing outlined. Yeah, surely the game is going to end of service. Yo, I don't mean to interrupt the video, but I need to take a moment here to thank all my incredible patrons over on Patreon whose support continues to allow for me to do regular videos like this every single day on this channel. Thank y'all so much, including our YouTube channel members. You guys mean the world to me. So do you guys as viewers as well. Now, without further ado, let's continue. They've also talked about having 11th anniversary plans, which puts the timeline all the way to early August. So they have things planned all the way through, at the very least, the middle of the year. The third quarter 2026 is already planned. Yep, definitely end of servicing. The current state of Fate Grand Order. Japanese players in panic for the end of Fate Grand Order. NA players chilling while knowing there's 2 years of content ahead. And once again, I'm sorry, Japan, I guarantee you, has a ton of content ahead as well. There's no way this is going to end of service. You can go to Twitter and there are people that are doom posting it over there. No. Fate Grand Order is not going to end of service anytime soon. Fate Grand Order wrapped up the Cosmos in a Lost Belt storyline, a story 8 years in the making. So of course, people are crying EOS soon. Didn't they actually do this with Honkai Impact 3rd as well? I'm pretty sure that happened. Let's be honest, in the past year, the game's monthly revenue averages around $20 million with a high of $55 million in August. There's no way anyone is going to shut down a game that is among the top earners, especially given this is arguably one of, if not the most successful intellectual properties in all of Japan, all around the world in terms of gacha games. But we don't know what is next. You can be certain the road ahead has been in the works already for some time. There's plenty of loose ends that could start off the next story. Maybe the next story will be something completely new. Of course, there may be changes. Maybe someone new will take the reins. Who knows? They are thriving for a decade, and there is no sign of them fading out despite being an old gacha game. That is what I've been saying. Was there anybody even saying that it's going to EOS? Yeah, there were entire Reddit threads made up over that. It is crazy. You can go onto social media. They're doing the same thing there. They're posting it on Facebook. Yeah, like, as much as I hate to say it, I do. People are doom posting this. They're saying it is approaching end of service. When in reality, all that's happened is they have been slowly approaching the end of their most recent story. And they are prepping for something new, something big. I would anticipate potentially a huge shift. I would actually speculate that they have been conceptualizing something big for a while now, and they're just waiting. There's going to be this lull period before this big announcement is made. I don't think there is any need whatsoever for any doom posting. I don't think anyone should be stating the game is end of servicing or even approaching end of service, because it just can't be. This game is doing too good. This game is too popular and is evidently the only gacha game based on an anime or a manga or any kind of media, pre-existing media, to have garnered the success that Fate Grand Order has. Maybe they're working on a new Fate game, but the reality is they're not going to give this one up regardless of what happens. They're, at that juncture, throwing away hundreds of millions of dollars every single year. They would genuinely have to be fucking morons to do that. Please, for the love of God, stop humoring idiots like this. Stop humoring people that are looking at this revenue right here and thinking, dead game. I know you think that you just hit the end of the video, and technically, yeah, you have. And I know your first reaction is to close out of it at this juncture, but don't. No, instead, I urge you to take a moment here and click one of the videos on screen that are coming up in just a moment, so you remain up to date with everything going on in the gacha genre. Trust me, you're not going to regret doing so. Stay flaccid.